Deontology. Deontology is based on the philosophy that actions are morally right if they adhere to a set of rules or duties, regardless of the outcome. This framework emphasizes the importance of intention and the intrinsic morality of actions, not just their results. Virtue ethics focuses on the character and virtues of the individual rather than on the rules or consequences of specific actions. It encourages individuals to develop good character traits, aka virtues, like courage, temperance, and wisdom, which enable them to lead fulfilling lives. Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism suggests that the rightness of an action is determined by its outcome, specifically the extent to which it produces the greatest good for the greatest number. It prioritizes outcomes and consequences, aiming for the maximization of overall happiness and reduction of suffering. Divine command theory. This theory holds that morality is intrinsically linked to God's commands, and that to be moral is to follow God's will. Actions are morally right if they conform to God's commands and wrong if they violate them. Natural law suggests that morality is determined by nature and reason, and that there are objective moral principles inherent in the natural world. It argues that humans have the ability to reason and can discern these natural laws through their rational capacities. Existentialist ethics. Existentialists do not believe there is a predefined universal moral framework. As a result, individuals are free to and responsible for defining their own morality. While this may at first sound liberating, philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre believe this freedom is rather depressing. Sartre famously said, "Man is condemned to be free," highlighting the difficulty of going through life without a rulebook to follow. Hedonism. This ethical theory argues that the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain are the highest goods and primary motivations for human actions. It maintains that actions are morally right if they increase pleasure or happiness. Contractarianism argues that moral norms derive from the idea of social contract, where individuals agree on certain rules to live together in society. It emphasizes mutual agreement and consent as the basis of ethical conduct and societal norms. Egoism. Egoism asserts that the ethical choice is the one that best advances one's own self-interest. It challenges the notion of altruism, promoting the idea that acting in one's own best interests is not only permissible, but morally right. Relativism claims that moral principles are not universal, but instead vary from culture to culture and person to person. It posits that there are no absolute moral truths, and that what is considered morally right or wrong depends on societal or individual perspectives. Care ethics centers on the importance of interpersonal relationships and care as a fundamental aspect of human life. It challenges the traditional moral systems that prioritize justice and autonomy, advocating for a morality based on mutual care and responsibility for others. Communitarianism. This approach stresses the importance of community values and the social context in which moral beliefs develop. Instead of focusing on individual rights or abstract principles, it argues that moral reasoning comes from community practices and cultural traditions. Libertarianism. Libertarian ethics focus on individual freedom and autonomy, arguing that individuals have the right to live as they choose as long as they do not infringe on the rights of others. It often emphasizes minimal state interference in personal lives. Nihilism. In ethical nihilism, all values are baseless and nothing can be known or communicated about morality. It often leads to the conclusion that moral judgments are arbitrary and lack any objective truth. Stoicism, this ethical framework, teaches that virtue, such as wisdom and temperance, is the only true good, and that individuals should strive to maintain inner peace by controlling their responses to events. It advocates that we should be indifferent to pleasure and pain and simply focus on living in harmony with nature and reason,